George Harrison had a hard time getting the credit he deserved after he started composing songs seriously for the Beatles. For a while, it appeared like the guitarist would remain loyal to his persona and play in the background, just like the Fab Four did when they were performing in the shadows. He had become known as the Quiet Beatle. Even then, McCartney frequently stepped in to play six strings when needed, so his role as lead guitarist wasn't secure. But for a long time, Harrison seemed okay with the arrangement. But at some point, Harrison hit a breakthrough, and he started writing original pop songs for the band. John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who were prolific songwriters, first opposed including many of Harrison's songs on their albums. However, when they realized they couldn't ignore Harrison's skill, they eventually created room for him to perform on every single. No one paid attention to his debut single, Don't Bother Me, a classically spoiled brat of a tune. However, Harrison's 1966 seminal song, Taxman, hinted that he was already trying to escape the constraints of the Lennon-McCartney collaboration. As one's talent blossomed, it must have been challenging to adapt to being second fiddle to the two songwriters. Fortunately, though, it was all heated arguments in the studio. John Lennon was really quite supportive of Harrison's new endeavor, lending him advice and even offering the odd line when needed. To hone his songwriting skills, the guitarist also reached out to others outside the band, like Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, and Ravi Shankar. Harrison was prepared to become a star on his own by the time the Beatles decided to split up. Actually, he did it as well, with his groundbreaking triple album All Things Must Pass, much outperforming expectations and even surpassing McCartney and Lennon. Although McCartney's career outlasted those of his comrades by a wide margin, Harrison's work was more well-received when they were just starting out as solo artists. There were a ton of songs on the CD that he had written while he was a member of the Beatles, but that the other members had decided weren't good enough. A tribute to Harrison's skill and the frustrations he must have felt attempting to find his footing, the album is generally considered the best solo effort by any member of the band after leaving the Beatles and sold millions of copies. When the dust settled, Harrison had made the right choice by calling it quits on the band. It gave him the freedom to experiment with new pop music styles and unleash his imagination. But it was far from a peaceful split. The group had to endure insults, nebulous jabs, and protracted legal disputes that would drag on for weeks in court. It ranks high among the most heartbreaking images associated with the Beatles. Many fans were left feeling chilly when they realized how business smart they were. The ideal fan perception of any band is that they would continue doing music regardless of financial compensation. In his entourage of attorneys and business advisors, McCartney severed ties with the band and took swift action to save his wealth and reputation. There was an even greater need to hold on to every last penny when the richest Britons were subjected to exorbitant tax rates. The group spent the first few years of their breakup entangled in legal proceedings. While Linda's family braced themselves for McCartney's relentless litigation, he was content to hide behind Linda's father. In court, Lennon and McCartney sparred just as much as everyone else. But the necessity of so many attorneys was intolerable for one of Macca's most vehement opponents. Although George Harrison was reluctant to display his emotions on Sue Me, Sue You, he did so on the song.